Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy T for 365 Horror Vlogs, the channel where we attempt to watch every single horror movie in existence. And in today's video, we have another one of our quick reviews for you guys. Let's get into it. Now, we are going to get right into the review, but before we do, I've got to remind you guys to please like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that good stuff. Really helps the channel out. And with that, let's get into Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum. The synopsis reads, the crew of a horror web series travels to an abandoned asylum for a live broadcast. It soon encounters much more than expected as it moves deeper inside the nightmarish old building. It is directed by Byom Sik Jeon, and it stars Wee Ha Jun, Yoo Ji Yoon, and Seung Wook Lee. So the first thing I'm going to talk about with this movie is I'm going to talk about the scare factor. That is the intensity I felt in this movie, and I definitely have to say that this movie is worth the time. It is super scary. There were actually a couple times when I was sitting there with my teeth kind of gritted, maybe even like my hands kind of half over my eyes, where I was just wishing for the part to be over or for the whatever was going to happen to just happen already. So when it came to anxiety, this movie had it in spades. Next, I'm going to talk about the creep factor of this movie. This is kind of how creeped out I felt, you know, looking over my shoulder as I'm in the basement kind of idea. And I've got to say that this movie had a really good level of creep to it. It really kind of creeped me out. There was actually a couple of images at the end that actually scared me, just the way that things happened and the imagery. It was actually quite terrifying. I did actually need some eye bleach after this. That's what I call it when, you know, I need to throw on an episode of The Simpsons or Big Bang Theory to kind of just like get over it before I kind of go to bed by myself or whatever the case. So yeah, it definitely creeped me out. It wasn't over the top. Like, I wasn't actually scared in my own home like I've been with some movies, but it definitely had me kind of irked for sure. Next, we're going to move on to the gore of this movie, and the gore score is going to be a little low. Again, I don't really account gore into the overall score of the movie, only to its benefit because I do like gore, and it will kind of carry a movie for me. So this movie, you didn't get a lot of gore, but this is a prime example of a movie that is so scary and creepy, you didn't even need the gore, man. This movie is scary enough without it. So although if you are squeamish, you're not going to be completely disgusted by this movie. Next, I'm going to move on to the characters of this movie and talk about that a little bit. Although everybody was competent as an actor, I've got to say that almost every character in this movie I just didn't like. I didn't actually care if they lived or died at all. You could have killed them all brutally and I would have just watched it, or let some survive. I'm not going to really spoil what happens at the end of this movie or who survives or dies, but I didn't really care about the characters. Although, like I said, the acting was competent, the fear seemed real, so in that respect, the characters were alright. Lastly, before I hang a final score on this movie, I'm going to talk about the story, and the story was okay. It was nothing extremely groundbreaking. It did have a good little bit of lore to it, which I actually liked when they were talking lore and kind of going through some of the stuff. It was pretty creepy in that respect. It was well put together. I could follow it well. It was a good movie with decent pacing, and so in that respect, it was definitely alright. Lastly, I'm going to hang a final score on this movie, and it is going to be a 3.7 out of 5. This movie is super creepy and scary, man. This is definitely what horror movies are made of. It is a really good, well done found footage. You know, you don't really get too sick. They don't jump around much. It's got enough static camera angles, which is what I sometimes find they need in found footage now. Although I like pure found footage, I do like the odd, you know, I'm going to set up a camera on the door, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a stability every once in a while, where they can just give you static shots that aren't like totally, you know, stomach churning. In saying that, again, I will say that this is a must watch for any found footage fan. It is good, and it will eventually make it into my collection for sure. Well, guys, that's going to do it for another one of the quick reviews. This one was a good movie. Sometimes we watch a couple duds, but this one I suggest for sure. Make sure you leave down in the comments whether or not you really like this movie or you were feeling this movie. I'm sure unless you hate found footage, you are going to be in the camp of thinking this movie was good, creepy, and scary. So I hope you enjoy it. If you did like this content, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that good stuff. Really helps the channel out. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Peace.